Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video I'm going to show you how to make an accordion folder journal. Now this idea is not originally mine. I saw a tutorial from Pink Monarch Prints and I will link it down below in the description because that is the original video. I loved the project and I wanted to recreate it myself. I am going to make it a little bit different from how she made it in terms of measurements and number of pages, but the base and really the way that you assemble it is going to be the same as hers. So again, make sure to check out her original tutorial. So for my base, I'm going to be using this craft paper. It's an A4 sized craft paper. It's very flimsy, it's not cardstock. It's 120 GSM, but for the base of the journal, I think it's ideal because once you fold it, this is a little prototype of the page that I made. It's going to be quite sturdy. So that's what I'm going to use. And the idea behind this journal is to make a sort of palette journal. I wanted to play around with color and I wanted to make a sort of colorful rainbow journal. In the original tutorial, she used 5 sheets of A4 sized paper. I'm going to be using 7. And the measurements are also slightly different because I used centimeters. So to do this, if you're using centimeters, I'm going to put my A4 sized paper on the long side and I'm going to score at 8 and at 22 centimeters. And I'm gonna fold. And then once you have this piece folded, you're just gonna fold this in half. I'm not gonna use my scoring board for this because you just need to fold this in half. Okay, so after I have prepared all of my pages, I'm creating the hinges. These hinges are going to be used to bind the pages together. What I did is I grabbed the same craft paper I used for the pages. I've cut 5 centimeters wide strips. Now I'm cutting them in half. And the amount of strips you need is the number of pages by 2 plus 1. So in total, because I have 7 pages, I need 15 hinges. And once I am done cutting them, I will be folding them in half. I help myself using the scoring board. Because my strips are 5 centimeters wide, I'm going to fold them at 2.5 centimeters. Okay, so now we'll be gluing down the pages together. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to apply glue on one side of each page. And if there is a little seepage, it doesn't matter because that part is going to be covered up. So once the pages were all glued down and dry, I started to decorate them. I didn't want to leave the backgrounds of the pages just as they were. I wanted to add some decoration. So what I did is I grabbed a bunch of stamp, and for each page I decided a theme. Most of them are botanical, with butterflies, birds, plants. And I just stamped with Distress ink in Vintage Photo. I wanted the stamping to really truly be just a background and not give and not take anything away from what is going to be collage on the pages, because the main focus of this journal is going to be color, and so I needed a very neutral background. and I'm just stamping away, creating some sort of pattern on the pages, but I didn't really do it thinking about it way too much. The background didn't really matter. It was just to add a little bit of interest and not leave the page too blank. And so, of course, I did that for all the 7 pages. So now I'm going to start assembling the journal. The first thing to do is to glue together each side of each individual page. And to do that, of course, I'm going to use the hinges. What you want to do is you want to glue down one side of the hinge in the inner area of the right pocket. And then the other part of the hinge in the other side of the pocket, like that. And this is how you create the accordion structure. Okay, so now it's time to actually assemble the journal together. To do that, I'm going to use the same technique that I used before. So you want to put one side of the hinge in the left pocket of one of the pages. And the other side is going to go in the right pocket of the next page. And you can see the accordion structure coming together and the individual pages. And now the last thing you need to do is to add these 2 individual pages. They are not folded together. They are not part of the accordion. These pages are the same size as the actual journal. And they're going to be the 2 pieces that you need to glue the cover on top of the journal. And to glue them down, of course, I'm using, again, the hinges in the same technique as I did before, only this time one of the side of the hinges goes on the back of that paper and one inside the pocket on each end of the journal. Okay, so now that the journal is put together, I'm going to start decorating it. What I decided to do for the pages, I wanted to create a colorful collage because, again, the whole concept behind this journal is to focus on colors. So I wanted to create a color palette by doing these collages on the pages. So the elements that I use for the collages are all from a printable set that I will link down below in the description, where you can find all the individual elements I used for the collage, as well as some journal pages with the ready-made collage that you can print out and use to create a journal. The size of them is the same as the journal that I'm currently creating. And they also have a background that is craft color, so it looks exactly like the journal that I'm making. In the collage, you will also find some scans from the color swatches that I made for this journal. You probably saw one in the pink collage, and they're also included. And I'm also going to link down below the collage strips that I made also for this journal, although I haven't used them a lot in the end. But they have all sorts of colors, and they are also available on my coffee shop. If you are interested, please check them out. They are inspired by the Tim Holtz collage strips, and so that's what's in the printable with the collage elements. There are also some extra elements that I haven't included in the collage, but that you can use to create some more ephemera, and I have used myself to create the ephemera that is going to go in the different pockets, because for the different pockets I decided to create some file folders. I used that Tim Holtz style, which I believe is called Specimen. It has a file folder, and I created one for each pocket. I have 14 pockets and I've created 14 different folders, but in the video I only included 7 of them. I basically made 2 for each color, 2 different hues, and I made 7 off camera and 7 on camera. Currently, I'm making the hot pink one, and most of the theme of the file folders is botanical and nature themed, just like my collages. So it features birds, flowers, and all sorts of nature themed elements. Some of the elements that I used to create the folders are also included in the printables. Some others are just ephemera that I had at home and created myself. Some flower stickers. I also used some elements off of Artsy Fartsy Life website. All the tags that I used for the file folders and also some journaling cards I got from her. I will link her website down below the description. She has tons of free printables. They are absolutely gorgeous, so be sure to check her out. And every folder had its own theme. Some of the folders, like the one that I made with the hot pink, I created some sort of a specimen look by cutting out the windows and adding acetate. For this one, I just collaged the front. And on the back of this file folder, I also glued down that patterned paper. I did that for a couple of other folders as well. And then I'm creating a little journaling card with a butterfly. And then I just added a couple of labels and stamps to decorate it. For the blue one, I did something similar to what I did with the hot pink. On one side, I made a cluster by using that blue tag and some labels and different elements that I already had. These are not part of the printables. And then on the back, I cut out 2 windows and I added these little acetate patterned papers. These are something that I bought off of AliExpress. I don't really know how to describe them, but they are these little sort of papers that are transparent, and then I just decorated around it. I kept this one quite simple, and the truth is the first few folders that I made, I decorated a lot and I wanted to add a lot of inclusions. But then as I created the folders and started to add them to my journal, I realized that the journal was becoming quite chunky, and so I tried to keep the decoration and the inclusions as simple as possible to not add too much bulk. But you're gonna see in a minute that the journal ended up being quite chunky, but I had a solution for it in the end, and again you're going to see it. Now I'm creating the green folder. For the green folder, I used the same technique that I used for another folder that I made off camera. I wanted to make it look like it was some sort of scattered papers book, and so I grabbed the real book pages and I cut them to size. I ripped them to size and glued them on top of the file folder in an angle to give this sort of look. And for the green one, I also created this little specimen card with 2 butterflies, and then on the front I just added some collage with some birds. I believe those birds are part of the printables, and so you can use it as well. And then I added an actual specimen card that I had made ages ago I probably have the video on my YouTube channel. And then on the back, I just added some more elements and I just collaged on the inside as well. I didn't want to cover that beautiful art up. And then I also added this little journaling card, which is from the Artsy Fartsy Life. For the yellow one, the main theme was butterflies, and so I added this big butterfly in the center, and that oval decoration was part of a packaging that I had from, I believe, those stickers that I'm using right now to decorate it. And so I cut it up and created some sort of background for that butterfly. On the back, I also wanted to, I kept going with this specimen theme, and so I grabbed the specimen die and glued down these butterfly stickers, and then I just added some labels again. And all the file folders, apart from maybe a couple, are pockets. I glued them down together to, add the inclusions. There is one or two that I haven't made into a pocket because I made them a little different. But I believe the ones that I have filmed are all pockets, so you can all tag ephemera in it. Indeed, I added tags and journaling cards or specimen cards like the last one. And then, of course, I added some stamping. And for that one, I added this little card and I used that butterfly ephemera as like a dangly bit for the journaling card. And I also added another one of my specimen cards in the pocket, which I didn't show, but that's what I did. Now I'm creating the orange file folder. Now this one I have to apologize for the way it was filmed. I did not realize that my camera was so off-center when I was filming it, but I included the footage anyway because this file folder here was quite simple because I really loved the paper that I used and I didn't want to cover that up because I absolutely love the art that is on the front, and indeed I didn't decorate anything on the front. I just decorating in the back, and I added the orange color swatches to it as well as some couple of other elements which you can't see because unfortunately the camera is off-centered. But yeah, that's what I did. And then off camera I created this little card with a tab, and I also created a couple of specimen cards with the same acetate, the small acetate papers that I used for the blue folder. I created a couple of those, and then I added some flowers to it, those flower stickers. I don't know why I did that. I just thought it was missing something and I wanted to add some interest. And one of the specimen cards I put as an inclusion, and the other one I just secured it with a paper clip in the front. Now I'm creating the red one. For this one, I used the same idea that I did for the green one that I made off camera. I created this sort of specimen strip with the windows, and I made these two oval windows. I did the acetate, and then I added the flower stickers. This is the dark red, so of course I added this very like beautiful dark red flowers. And this strip is then going to be glued down on the front of the folder, and it's going to create a sort of belly band. And of course I also added some decoration on the belly band. I added these stickers, I added some labels, and then later I think I also added some stamping. Again, for the inclusion here, I used this tag from Artsy Fartsy Live, but then I also added one of the oval offcuts decorated with a little butterfly, and then I secured it with an eyelet. And then I also added one of those stamped strip to cover the green that you could see on the outside. On the back of this folder, I just created a cluster. I used some of the elements from the printable as well as some other elements. That one is the oval, the other oval offcut, and a little sticker, and that was it. And then I added a little writing on the tab. It says recorded. It's from the same Tim Holtz die set of the file folder and the specimen card. And I'm also adding some stamping to the belly band. And I also added that little patterned paper, the little printed paper with the birds as a little inclusion. I just folded it and added it as an inclusion because it was fine that way. Okay, so I am done with the file folders, and now the next thing I want to do is I want to create the covers for the journal. I already created one, and I'm gonna create the other one on camera. This is gonna be the back cover. Now, for the cover, I am using an old, bigger cover that I had made for a previous project. And I had to cut it down, of course, so I have this side that it's like, you know, all ugly. And I was thinking about using some maybe fabric to sort of cover this area up. And this is gonna be the back cover. So what I did is I stamped this and then I colored them in with some of the watercolor pencils, and then I added some of these little number stamps, and then I added some vintage photo. But for the front cover I want to do something different. Okay, so I selected this fabric here. I have quite a big strip. I of course picked a quite neutral fabric because, you know, the main thing about this journal is the colors. And I'm gonna cut a strip to glue down. Okay, I quite like this. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other cover. So I've picked these elements here to decorate it, and I also want to use this. So I have this little, this came from an ephemera pack that I had. It's a little, well, how do I call it? Is it a slide roll, a film roll? I'm not sure how this is called. And I wanted to do something with this, like a little color wheel. And so I decided to have on the front cover this sort of like rotating element. And this, of course, you can take out. And I want to create a little color wheel to go on the back of this. And this is gonna sit in the center and it's going to rotate. But I also want to use maybe these elements. As I said before, these are from Artsy Fartsy Life printables. Again, the link will be down below in the description, so you can check her out. This is one of my collage strips. This is the colorful one. This you will find in the collage strip set that is on my coffee shop. And I want to use this as well. I haven't quite decided how I want to use this. I was thinking about having this like this in the center, then have maybe this the rotating element here, and I don't know, this in like a little collage way. Maybe I could cut this up. I don't know what to do. The first thing I want to do is I want to create the color wheel for this. Okay, so now I'm creating the color wheel, and to do that I just used again the watercolor pencils. I cut this circle out with a circular die cut, and I'm just coloring in, creating the different color hues and transitions.
It's not perfect the way that I made the circle, but it doesn't really matter because that area is not going to be visible anyway. What I was focusing on was to create the color transitions, and now it's time to decorate the front cover. I started with this sticker here, this big leaf sticker that I also cut the excess off. And then I used one of the Artsy Fartsy Life elements in the center. And then I decided to cut in half my colorful collage strip, and I'm adding some ripped pieces of paper to the edges. I wanted to create a vintage look, of course. Then I added a bread to the color wheel, and then I glued only the color part because obviously the wheel part had to rotate. And then I just decided to add some labels. And the other part of the collage strip on the other side. And the color wheel rotates quite well. And I also added a little arrow die cut to it. So that's the cover done. Now I want to decorate the inside covers, and I decided to go with a color swatch theme again. For the first one, I used that print from Artsy Fartsy Life that I didn't use on the cover, and I made a cluster color swatch decoration using some book pages. And as you can see, I also tried to match the stamping and some of the elements to the stamping of those areas. And I did the same thing on the back cover, but this time on the back cover I created a cluster with some washi tape swatches, this colorful washi tape that I had, and I created another one with a colored wheel again. And now I'm just stamping the tabs. I did it for all the tabs on both sides. Of course, I used different numbers for each one, and because I thought they were a little bare.
So I am basically done with my journal, and I've put all the file folders inside the journal, and look at what happens. It stays open because the inclusions are very chunky. I knew this was going to happen, but I didn't think it was going to be this severe. So I've decided that because I want my journal to stay flat, to, stay like this, I want to add this, a little bit of U2 ribbon. There is kind of like a closure, not because the journal cannot be open, but because it prevents the journal, like it can stay like this. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm thinking that to glue this down and to secure it, I could add like a little strip of paper here, because if I just glue it down, it's going to eventually come off. So I can add like a little strip of paper here to secure this. Okay, so I'm cutting out two pieces of 5 centimeters each. Okay, and I'm gonna fold them in half. Glue them down together. Then I'm gonna secure this with thinking about using this strong masking tape. Okay, so I've cut this piece and I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side here. So I'm done with the journal. This is how the closure looks like, and it really helps make the journal flat, and it can still be opened from this side, obviously, and have a little flip through. And then here, if you want to open this, you just need to undo this and it will be just fine. I absolutely love how this turned out. It took me a long time to make this. You will see a very edited video, but actually I think I've been working on this for maybe a couple of weeks. I haven't worked on it for like intensively, like every day, because you know, I wouldn't film every day because obviously life doesn't allow me to create every single moment, unfortunately. um but it took me a long time to make. It was quite of a big project, but I loved making this. I loved playing around with colors. I just loved this concept of you know, making a palette and having different themes. I absolutely adore this a little card, and I made this with book pages. I made this one with this print here, and I made this sort of swatches, and I matched some of the elements to the background here. You can see I used the same stamp, and then I decorated this. I made this off camera because it was kind of like an improv creation, and then I decided I wanted to use it. This one I made another color wheel, and then I did some stamping, some labels. I added these little like scribbles with the watercolor pencils, and then I had these this colored, gradient colored washi tape, and I made a sort of washi tape swatch, if you will, and I still use the book page. I definitely want to play around with these book page clusters more in the future. I might make a video dedicated to it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I will be making a complete flip through of this journal in a separate video, of course. And again, if you are interested in the printables, they are linked down below in the description. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this very long video. If you did, please consider liking, subscribing to my channel, leave a comment down below, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!